amazing Australians and the story of their lives. You're tuned to Lots to Chat About with Rosemary Peterswald.
Hello and welcome, listeners. My guest today is Lindsey Phillips, Teens Life Skills Coordinator from the Pyjama Foundation. The Pyjama Foundation aims to break the cycle of disadvantaged experienced by children in care. Through early intervention, support and mentoring children in care, they are able to change their life trajectory. They provide children and young people in foster care the opportunity to change the direction of their lives with learning, life skills and confidence. Through their Love of Learning program, volunteers called Pyjama Angels are recruited, screened, trained, and then matched with a child in care and spend time with them once a week, focusing on learning-based activities. Pyjama Angels read books aloud with their child, play educational games, and help children with their homework. Most importantly, the volunteers give foster children a chance to reach their life potential despite a fragile start. Welcome, Lindsey.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you, and thank you for being my guest. But look, I'm sure our listeners would like to hear a little bit about you, because as the interview goes on, they'll realise that you have an accent from Yorkshire, I think. But tell us a little bit about your early life and how you came to be in Australia all the way from Yorkshire after studying modern history at Oxford.
Yeah, it does seem a strange trajectory, I guess. I grew up in West Yorkshire, so in the north of England. Was lucky enough, worked hard, went and studied at Oxford, very honoured to do so, I guess, and thoroughly enjoyed my time there. Went on to become a management accountant, which sounds terribly dull. Then I have two wonderful children. They're now in their early 20s. And when they were 4 and 6, we got the opportunity to move over to Australia. Now, I was told by my husband it would be for 2 years.
Right.
17 years later, we're still here. Yes.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah. So it was an exciting sort of adventure and opportunity. But once we got here, we just loved it so much. And it was such a wonderful place to bring the kids up. That
in Brisbane? You came directly to
yes.
Brisbane? Yes.
Interestingly, his job was going to be in either Sydney or Brisbane. And we knew nothing about Brisbane, really wanted it to be Sydney.
Right.
But fate is a funny way of things working out. And we're so thrilled it ended up being Brisbane, because it's just been such a wonderful place to bring our family up.
It's not just a wonderful place, it's easy living too, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Compared to Sydney.
Yes, I think that's exactly it. Yeah,
Everything's closer hand. And
precisely. It's just a very livable, friendly, safe city. That's what we've loved for the kids. Yeah.
Well,
for all of us.
I'd love to say the climate's better, but we haven't had...
Not recently.
We've had nothing but rain.
It feels like we're back in England.
I know. We need to send down some to Tasmania and further south, where they're
where they need it.
Yeah. They're suffering. And and in England as well. I heard Jeremy Clarkson saying he's in the middle of a drought.
Yes, on his farm.
Yes, absolutely. So tell me now, how did you get involved in the Pyjama Foundation?
Well, when we moved to Australia, we had no family, friends or anything. The kids were only little, so I wasn't working for some time. And then the kids got settled into school, so I was looking to do something, become involved. It was a chance. I had the time, and I really liked the idea of giving back and doing something. Right. So I had young children at the time. I love reading. I'm an avid reader. And I saw an advert that was for helping young people, disadvantaged young people, and helping them with their reading. It just seemed like that sort of perfect match. So I went along for my interview and from there. So I've been a Pyjama Angel for 10 years now. I first was placed with 2 young boys who were wonderful. They were 8 and 10, but they unfortunately moved. But I've been with the young man that I visit now for 8 years.
Right.
He just turned 13 last week. So
oh, gosh. So he was only 5 or something when you first met him?
So he was absolutely tiny when I first met him, and now he's,
Yes.
And a teenager.
and with the same foster family?
Yes, so he actually lives with his grandma, so he's in kinship care. We have different kinds of care. The kids that we look after are in what you might think of as traditional foster care with foster parents, or they can be in kinship care, which can be a family member or a friend,
right?
Or they can be in residential care, where they have support work, a sort of a roster of workers. Residential care facilities now are not like we might imagine. They're not these big, frightening industrialised, buildings, sort of workhouse type things. They tend to be just a normal-looking house, often only 2 or 3 kids in the home, but the big difference that there's not that parental figure, in effect.
Right.
It is a roster of support workers.
Yes. But Lindsay, what a godsend you must be to his grandmother, because obviously, I don't know, but she's probably getting on a little bit and suddenly having to raise a little one on her own.
Well, 6 little ones, actually. So interestingly, often the families that we support have large families and things happen. But yes, for us as Pyjama Angels, although the connection is very much with the young person, I think it's a lot about support and care for the care. So I know in my care, I class her as a friend now. We go out for dinner once a month.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's someone, because I'm not from the department, I'm not paid
Yes.
to be there. I love these kids too. It's sort of a non-judgment. We can talk about them and she can express concerns and we can chat.
Yes.
I guess it's another support person for her to try and work through issues and things.
Which is incredibly important, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It's very privileged, I think. Yeah.
And just having someone to bounce ideas off and
Absolutely.
whatever, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I think children in care basically had or been known to have sort of the lowest outcomes in education nationally, and sort of by improving their learning skills, you're making a really positive long life impact.
So we have some frightening statistics. 92% of kids in out-of-home care, we call it OOHC, out-of-home care, so 92% are below the national reading level age by the age of 7.
Right.
Which is just, and this is, the kids are fabulous, just as capable as any other kids, bright, dynamic, wonderful.
Yes.
But often their schooling has been disjointed. They haven't gone to school, they haven't had the support at home, etc. Only 57% of our kids finish year 12 or equivalent, compared to 85% nationally for sort of their peer group. So yes, the statistics unfortunately prove that, but we're trying to help.
Yes.
Terrific. Improve those figures, basically.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, your little boy, who's becoming a bigger boy, of
Yes,
course, now, is in a different situation to a number of children that go into foster care, because sadly, some of them, they don't just go to one foster home, do they? They end up going to a number.
So it's interesting. When we match a Pyjama Angel with a young person, our aim is obviously longevity of relationship. We know the longer a young person is with their mentor, we can build that relationship, the consistency, reliability, and you can really form that strong bond.
Right.
And they can become a significant adult. But obviously sometimes, for often our young people have to move. So that means moving to a new care and moving to a new school. If the Pyjama Angel, our volunteers are fabulous. So many of our volunteers that I deal with will follow the young people around.
Oh, right.
But obviously sometimes that's not possible. If they move interstate or they move too far away, we do our best to try and keep them connected, but sometimes that isn't possible. And that's very sad. So the average length of a placement for our volunteers is 3.5 years. Right. And one of my aims in my role is I'd love to increase that. I'd love that figure to be bigger. The aim is to match a volunteer with a young child, and we now support our young people till they're 24, which is very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's terrific. Do you ever have anyone, any of the foster parents that don't want you coming into the home?
So basically how the system works, all our young people are referred to us by child safety, or in other states by a carer. In Queensland, child safety have to have that sign-off. So in theory, they're basically coming to us to ask for the support. So it's very unusual for a carer not to want us to come into the home, because effectively they know we're there not to judge, not to force anything on them, literally just to help. It's an extra help and support to them and to the young person. So it would be a very unusual circumstance. But absolutely, we go into the carer's home. If the carer doesn't want that, then they just need to say. But because of the way the system works and the young people are all referred to us, then effectively the carer is saying, I would like this help and support. Please come to me. So the only time it may not work, the carers and kids live in such a dynamic environment. Often there's many children in a home. They have lots of support systems, OTs, speech therapists, psychology coming in, and support workers coming in. Sometimes maybe it's just too busy and they'd like the support. That's really the only example I think when a carer just says, look, I'd love this, but we just can't fit it in. And we say, that's fine. We'll pop you, you're still in the system. If you get to a point when the young person would need the help, and we do have that. Sometimes they might come back to us when the kids are a bit older and say, they really need help with homework or a particular life skill or self-confidence I
mean, particularly, as you said, in your young boy's case, there's obviously 5 other children there as well. So it's a huge responsibility for a foster parent.
And I think this is... Interestingly, I found it can be very confronting. So I'd say I've had a very privileged upbringing, not in terms of money, but in terms of love, supporting family, etc. I've got a very close family personally. for me to see that not all kids have that has been quite shocking. I'll be honest. So there's been some things that I found confronting this role, but far more good than bad that I've witnessed. The amazing volunteers, the fantastic carers, people who just open their homes and their hearts to these kids and welcome them in and support. It's just quite inspiring, I think that's the word.
Absolutely. I just, take my hat off. It's quite enough bringing up your own children.
Yes.
But,
They're
let alone
dedicated
somebody else's. Yes.
Yeah. So what we do very much is work with the carers for the kids. We appreciate everything that we do.
Yes.
That's it. But we're there hopefully to just offer them a little bit of respite. Even if while we're there playing with the kids or doing activities, reading, they can go and pop the dinner on, put the feet up and have a cup of tea. Just something to give them that little bit of a respite.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Now, the Pyjama Foundation's vision, I mean, it's huge, isn't it? You aim to have a world of unlimited opportunity.
That's the plan.
For all children, don't you?
And that's exactly it. We're really looking to see there's no reason that any child, it's nobody's fault how or where or your circumstances, everyone should have those same opportunities.
Is it worldwide?
No, I'd love to say that it was. So we're nationwide. We are in Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. Right. So we're not fully, but
Is there anything similar sort of across the world?
Very interesting you should say that. So our CEO, Bronwyn, who founded the Pyjama Foundation, 21 years ago now, she's just come back from it. This is why I've had this lovely opportunity to speak to you, because she wasn't available. She's actually been to the World Literacy Summit back in England.
Right.
And meeting, and she's made connections with other organisations and things. So there are people out there with a similar kind of aim, but I do believe in Australia we're the only organisation that offers this kind of support, because we're not a tutor service. We are very much, for us, it's all about the relationship and the mentoring. So there's no curriculum to follow.
Yes.
It's very much individualised to each young person's needs.
So now tell us a little bit about your volunteers. I mean, they're known as we've said, Pyjama Angels. How are they screened, trained, recruited and matched to a child in foster care?
So our volunteers, just a little bit of background maybe in demographics. You have to be 18 and our oldest volunteer is 85, which is just wonderful. So we have a real cross-section. 87% of our volunteers are female. We would love to have more male volunteers, but interestingly, a vast majority are women. They come from all kinds of different backgrounds, skills. What's wonderful about being a Pyjama Angel is there's no qualifications necessary. Everybody brings their own unique mix. Interestingly, I did 2 interviews yesterday for new Pyjama Angels. One was an 18-year-old.
Yes.
She was just so lovely. She talked so passionately about wanting to help and make a difference, just with that real...
Yes.
And the fact that she has very recent lived experience, she's just gone through school, she's starting tertiary education, she could be a real inspiration to some of our young people.
To them.
Precisely. Yes. And the other lady we spoke to was retired, has grandchildren, and just the most warm, lovely, open heart. She just wants to help and make a difference. And that can be, so I think what I love is very much is how we can look to match a young person with the volunteer they need. So it can be any, but there's not one size fits all, because we're dealing with individuals. So to become a Pyjama Angel, you would apply online or call us. So you would apply to us. You'd have an interview, and that interview we just chat to find out what do you think being a Pyjama Angel involves. We give a few scenarios of things that may happen when you visit a young person in care and how they might potentially deal differently in person than a young person you might know in your family. So one of the questions we ask is, if you've been visiting for a month but your young person doesn't seem to be responding warmly to you, how might you react? And that's just to try and tell people that for a lot of young people in care, well, all our young people have been through trauma, or they wouldn't be in out-of-home care, they can build walls to protect themselves. It can take them longer to open up. So if you might be this wonderful, warm person who kids just love in your own life, but it might take this young person that you're visiting a little bit longer to open up, to feel comfortable, to trust, which is what we're looking for them to trust. You become a trusted adult in their lives. So we have an interview and just go through all those sort of things. We're wanting to see, do we think the person understands fully what the role is? Will it work, etc.? If that all goes well, we'll invite them along to a day of training, and that's a full day. And in the morning, we go through policies and procedures. So we talk to them a little bit about what it means to be in out-of-home care, what trauma-informed practice looks like, how you can, and all those kind of things, if young people were to make a disclosure to you. So all those kind of, I guess, those important policies that they need to know. And then the afternoon's a bit more fun. We play games, give them suggestions for different things they could do for kids that age. Then we'll approach their referees. We check that they obviously have to have a valid working with children check, whatever the
I was going to ask you that. Yes, they've got to have that particular form.
Absolutely. So reference checks, obviously we check ID. We're very careful and thorough because obviously we are introducing somebody into the life of a vulnerable young person. It's very important that once we've done that, then the fun begins in the matching process, which I really love. So we're looking at, okay, here we have a volunteer who may speak a foreign language or play a musical instrument, and we have a young person here who really wants help with one of those.
Yes.
It's all that kind of, and we'll ring the volunteer and we'll say, okay, we've got a young person here, I have a 6-year-old boy, he loves Bluey and Paw Patrol, and he wants some help with his reading. Yeah. Great, that sounds wonderful, and we'll match. So you absolutely have the right as a volunteer to say at that point, oh, that sounds great, but I've been thinking about it, and I really think I could add value to a teenager and help them with life skills. That's fine. We'll look at this. So it's we're very thorough and careful about how we look to match the young person, and then we're very supportive afterwards. And I think that's where our real strength at the Pyjama Foundation lies, that although you're going to visit that young person on your own in their home, there's a team of people, our programme support team behind you, checking in, offering advice, resources, regular checkups. We do surveys to see how things are going.
It sounds as though it's very, very well organised.
Yeah, you're part of a community. I think that's and we take our duty of care to our volunteers very seriously. We want to make sure that they're in a safe environment, that there's no concerns with their mental health, because it can be confronting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Now, you're listening to Lots to Chat About. I'm Rosemary Peterswald, and my guest today is Lindsey Phillips from the Pyjama Foundation, aiming to break the cycle of disadvantage experienced by children in care. Do you ever have to knock people back?
That's actually, I'm the right person to answer that question as well. So I'm also our risk assessment officer.
Yes.
So absolutely, unfortunately we do. So as you say, young people are referred to us, and we will ask one of those questions on the referral form is, are there any risks, potential risks for a volunteer? So we're very aware, as I said previously, we take our duty of care to our volunteers seriously. We are only volunteers. We're not trained professionals. So we're sending a person in there without those no professional training. So we need to be very aware that if there are behaviours or things that could happen, potential threats to them, then unfortunately. And it's a really tough part, because I read these and it breaks my heart. And I think this young person could really do with that mentor. However, how I reconcile myself to that is by saying, okay, we can't help because we don't have the skills. If we say, I'm sorry, we're not the right service to help, that means that they're free to then look up and find that right trained professional support. So unfortunately sometimes, but
what about the volunteers? Do you ever talk to
sorry.
both?
Children.
I was interested in that as well. But do you ever sort of sit in front of chatting to a volunteer and then thinking, no, perhaps you're not quite suited to this?
Unfortunately, we do have to. So we take very seriously the fact that as an organisation, we're non-religious, non-political, non-judgmental. We will ask, one of the questions we ask our volunteers is, how would you feel if you were placed with a gender diverse child?
Yes.
And if the child that you were visiting wanted to be called with a different name and pronouns, and if people really, really struggle with that, then that's a concern. So there'll be various ways that we don't like to say no, because I love the fact that people want to volunteer and help. It tends to generally be more a conversation of perhaps this isn't the right opportunity for yourself.
Yes.
Maybe they can come and volunteer in the office. Maybe they can do a different kind of. So sometimes we do have to be careful. We're aware of our responsibility in introducing people to young people. So yes,
exactly.
We have clear rules around what is not acceptable, or red flags that we may watch for people at training and go, sorry, I don't think this is going to. Yes. So
or if you think perhaps somebody's doing it, sort of the boot on the other foot, that they actually want company.
And it's very interesting that we do have conversations sometimes going, I suspect this person is doing it more for their benefit than for the young person. So look, but they're few and far between those examples of, very.
Tell us a little bit about experiences that are commonly known as adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, that can have lasting effects on a child's health, well-being and overall life. You know, there are stressful or traumatic events that happen during childhood, aren't there, before they're 18? And you have
absolutely. So we go into this assuming that because a young person is placed in care, they've been through trauma of some point. Now, an adverse childhood experience could be as severe as abuse, physical or sexual abuse, emotional abuse, or deprivation, you know, all those kind of things. However, at the Pyjama Foundation, we're very much about not looking back as to where the young person has been and what they've been through. Right. We're all about going forward. So it's about meeting the young person where they are now and how we help them going forward. So we won't tell a pyjama. We don't really want to know ourselves. Sometimes child safety will tell us, and we don't need to know that.
Yes.
We just need to know, what do we need to tell a volunteer so they're aware. So what we might do is, for example, if a young person has an ASD diagnosis, we might tell the Pyjama Angel, just so that you're aware, this young person has a diagnosis of ASD, so therefore they may react strongly to loud noises. Or, you know, if it's something that would help the volunteer understand the way the young person reacts or behaves. But we will never tell them, this is what's happened to them, because it's irrelevant, really. Exactly. We're meeting the young person, and we're all about moving forward, into a brighter future. Yeah,
absolutely. And talking about moving forward,
absolutely.
Do tell us about the Splash of Lycra, the charity fundraiser, which is going to be hosted by Troy Fiddler, isn't he, who will be swimming the English Channel and fundraising for kids in care. Do tell us about Troy and his attempt.
Absolutely. So, look, I'll be very honest, I don't know in great detail, other than I'm very excited that our marketing team have been involved in the idea that somebody would be able to swim the English Channel, having lived in England and been on a boat across it. The fact you'd want to swim in it, I find fascinating. So we're very grateful to Troy for that, for offering to do that for us and raising money and awareness for us by doing that. What an amazing thing
When's he going to be doing that? Do you know? And well, it's on your site, I think, isn't it? So people, I'll give the information to the site.
It's this year, and then the date's definitely on the website.
Yeah. And, well, on July the 25th, you've got National Pyjama Day.
So that's our biggest fundraiser. We call it the comfiest day of the year. And it's basically what we do. It's our biggest fundraiser. So I think over 35% of the money that we raise is through National Pyjama Day. So what we do is we ask anybody. So it'd be great if you guys could do it here at the radio station.
Oh, yes.
Basically, we just ask people to come into work in their pyjamas. Work, school or kindy.
God, I was only looking at my pyjamas today thinking they're not too crash hot.
No, it's fantastic. It's just a really fun way to get the conversation started and raise awareness. You can register online on our website and to find out more information. So, for example, if schools and kindy, we get lots of schools and kindies who organise, we can send out, you register online and we send out packs with bunting and balloons and things in to people have coffee mornings. Ladies in their yoga classes will have coffee. You know, all kind. You can basically, everybody can get involved. And although we have the 25th of July as the actual National Pyjama Day, you can do that any time in July or August. So obviously it makes sense to sort of, and it's just a really fun, at work I love it. We go into work in our pyjamas and then we go to some of the young kindy and school groups that are supporting us and read to the kids and play. So it's
how lovely. Lindsay, you're wearing a wonderful T-shirt now, which is the
with our logo
Pyjama Foundation, which is lovely. It's got two beautiful sketches on the front there. So that's part of your uniform. Is that part of what everybody wears at the?
No, well, we tend to wear them when we come out to events, just to make it clear. This is, our logo. It's all about the kids and education and skills and opportunity, and that's it. Really, just about trying to promote our image, really, I guess. But we have a fabulous marketing team. Who, and I believe our fundraising manager, Karina, designed all this, and she's done a fabulous new logo for National Pyjama Day as well. And I think it's all about, helping little kids realise big dreams. And
absolutely.
It's all about fun.
Exactly. They look very happy, the two little ones on the front there. Now, also coming up is the Gold Coast Marathon. And how can people sign up to fundraise for the Pyjama Foundation there?
Fantastic. Again, that's just go onto our website. So our website's www.thepyjamafoundation.com. So all our fundraising opportunities on there. I know we do the marathon, Bridge to Brisbane, information about Troy and his swim, and about National Pyjama Day. Everything's on there.
Right. So they don't run the marathon in their pyjamas, obviously.
Well, some people do. They tend to wear the T-shirts, though.
Yeah. Okay.
T-shirts, hats, that's it.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
Now, you're a really keen walker, aren't you? So talking of the marathon, I mean, yes, well, you can walk the marathon. Even Sally Ann Atkinson, who's our wonderful guest here many times, who was the Lord Mayor of Brisbane, she often, well, I think most years walks in the marathon and does a wonderful job.
Because I couldn't run,
No, she doesn't run. She's well over 80. She wouldn't mind telling
Fabulous.
you that. But you did the Camino Trail, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I have to admit, I only did part of it, so I only walked 315 kilometres.
Right.
But my husband
how
walked
many?
the whole. He did the whole 790. I did 315. So
That
I
sounds
just did
rather a lot, yes.
It was just wonderful.
Yes.
And it's interesting because a lot of people said, how do you walk? But I find it very, I can't think of the word, but peaceful and relaxed.
Yes.
You literally get up in the morning and you walk. That's it. You don't have to
Right.
worry about anything else. You're seeing fabulous scenery, meeting fascinating people from all over the world.
It's extraordinary.
And then,
I think I watched something on television not long ago
Yes,
about a man who walked it. And,
Yes, there's been a few. There was a
yeah.
recent movie actually by an Australian. Who
Yes, I think
walked
that's
it.
what I
That's
watched.
probably
Yes.
The Way, My Way, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yes, we watched it before we went. So yeah,
Exactly. So you stay in sort of hostels or what?
yeah. There's all sorts of options. So they call them albergues.
Yes.
Terrible Spanish accent, but the idea just being that, exactly as you say, it's like a big dormitory. But
Yes.
you can, it depends then, sometimes if you want a break from that, you can get a separate room in there, you can
Yes.
stop in a B&B, a hotel. But yeah, the idea is that you carry your things, you
Yes.
stop in these big communal, as I say, albergues, you eat together.
Yes.
They have menu del dia, menu of the day, especially for pilgrims, and it's like for €12 you get a 3-course meal and a bottle of wine, and you sit together and share. And
Wonderful.
Yeah,
My
it's-
actually, my niece and her husband have done it a few times, I
Yeah,
think, and my brother actually did it too. But I think he did a slightly fancier way. I'm not sure.
Well, I think you deserve to do it, and that's
Well,
the
he was
wonderful
in
thing.
his 80s.
Yeah, you see, we met. I was fascinated. I actually felt I'm in my 50s, but I felt quite young doing this.
Yes.
I thought I was going to feel old. It would be all young kids doing it, but
Yeah.
the people we met, fascinating. A wonderful couple. They were there for the husband's 75th birthday, and we want to do the Portuguese. So we did the Camino Francis. So we set off in France and walked across the north, the top of Spain.
Right.
But we want to do the Portuguese Camino next year. That's the plan. So
How wonderful.
Yeah.
And if you can't do the Camino, well, there is the Gold Coast Marathon, isn't
absolutely.
there? So,
Or Bridge to Brisbane as well.
Well, actually, I think
Yeah,
I'd possibly talking about the bridge to Brisbane. Yes, so there's plenty of things that people can get involved. So now just tell us again, if you are sitting there and you decide that you want to be a pyjama angel or become involved in the foundation, do tell us a little bit more about how somebody can go about it.
Yeah, fantastic. So there's two ways. Really the easiest way is to go onto our website. Everything is on there. So if you go on there, it's very clear. There's a donate tab and there's an apply tab. So if you wanted to become a volunteer, click on apply. All the information's there. You can apply online. Similarly with donate, find out all the different ways that you could help to get involved, the things that we're doing and the reasons you can get involved. And you can always call us. So our number, am I allowed to give the number out?
Yes. Oh,
so
yes.
our number at head office to speak to one of the fabulous people in our support team, it's a Brisbane number, is 07 3256 8802. And somebody would look. Basically, we're
Can you
there
repeat
to help.
that?
Yeah, it's 07
Yeah.
3256 8802.
Wonderful. Or they can ring here and we can
Absolutely,
put them
and we
in
love
touch
to
with-
hear from people. There's so many different ways people can help. If it's not going to visit a young person,
Yes.
we have office volunteers. So we have a group of people literally in the office at the moment helping to pack kits for National Pyjama Day. So
Right.
boxes to go to schools and offices and things full
Yeah.
of those goodies to make your workplace look good for Pyjama Day.
Where are you?
We're in Albion, so our head office is in Albion.
Right.
We have a big resource centre there, so
Yes.
our pyjama angels can come along and look for board games, books, toys,
Wonderful.
all kinds of things.
Yes.
In each of the regions, we have a resource centre so that our pyjama angels, and we can also send things out. So we have, where we have pyjama angels in more remote areas, in cairns and things, we can send out resources to them as well. So.
Wonderful. Oh, look, it all sounds, it just sounds terrific. It really does.
Thank you very much. We're very proud of what we do. It feels good. It feels like we're making a difference. And particularly for me.
You are making a difference.
I think for me now, because my role is to be involved with the teenagers, the fact that we're now helping kids as they transition out of care until they're 24, so we're helping them transition into adulthood and have that support and that safe person with them as they go through those changes is fantastic.
Brilliant. So, well, congratulations to you,
Thank you very
Bronwyn, and the Pyjama Foundation for all you do, because it really is a very, very worthwhile cause. So, Lindsey Phillips, Teen Skills Coordinator from the Pyjama Foundation, thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you here to chat with us. And Paul, thank you very much for being our producer, as normal. And this program has been recorded in the studios of 4RPH Reading Radio Brisbane for syndication around Australia.
Great friends and great chats. That was another Lots to Chat About with Rosemary Peterswald. Stay tuned next week for another amazing chat.